moment in time, you're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't say anything,
but I haven't made off.
We don't mention one question in the little line court. Anything you do is maybe given evidence.
But I haven't made off though.
For your arrest as prompted and factual investigation.
Welcome to UK Audit's Files, where we expose misconduct, break down police and legal encounters, defend civil rights, and hold public officials accountable. Today's episode comes from I Spy Audits. You'll find his link below, so make sure to check out his channel and give him the credit he deserves. I end this clip. Auditor I Spy stops at a BP petrol station to fuel up and attempts to pay with a £20 Royal Mint coin, which is legal tender in the UK. What should have been a routine payment quickly spirals when the staff refuse the coin and call the police. Instead of calming the situation, the officers escalate it and arrest I Spy, despite no crime being committed. That reckless decision didn't end there. I Spy took the matter to court and recently walked away with a substantial payout.
It's a £20 coin.
Never seen them in my life.
So it's from the Royal Mint, so the same place that all legal tender comes from.
Have you got any other means of payment at the minute?
I don't know. Right. Can I ask why you didn't tell me before you started recording?
So when we go to any incident, our tour of duty and our police protocol is to video every incident we go to achieve the best evidence.
But you've got to notify the person, or the first available opportunity.
No, we don't.
You do.
Have you got that from somewhere? Have you read that up somewhere? Or?
Yes, your policy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at the minute, we're obviously videoing everything because we've been called to an incident. Immediate response where there's some ongoing issue with payment, whether it's a domestic...
999?
Well, that's what's coming as, yeah.
Wow.
Well, we just didn't know what was happening. There was an altercation in the shop, so we've arrived on that instance. Are you going to give me your name?
I'm not, no.
Right, okay. Is there a reason for that?
Because it's a civil matter, and it's not something that the police can get involved in.
To a degree, you're right. It is a civil matter. We can deal with it a different way, but obviously, ultimately, you haven't paid for your fuel.
From the moment she arrives, the officer shows she's completely unprepared to handle the situation. The auditor notices her body-worn camera and immediately asks why she hasn't informed him that she's recording. Guidance is crystal clear. Officers must notify the public at the earliest opportunity when recording. Instead of admitting that, she outright denies the requirement exists. Her next move is just as bad. She demands his name. But this isn't a criminal investigation. It's a civil disagreement between him and the petrol station. With no suspected offence, she has no legal authority to demand ID. Either she didn't know that, or she chose to ignore it. Both are unacceptable for someone in uniform.
I have.
But they're not accepting that money.
But that's up to them to accept it. If they decline...
They've obviously run the post office and they've declined that. Ultimately, it's a civil issue, but if you're not willing to give us your details, then how do we know that you're going to resolve the civil issue at a later date? If you're happy to give us your details, then we can look at the civil issue at a later date.
But that's a civil issue, that's nothing for the police
to get involved in. But we don't know your details, do we? So you could technically escape from here and never come back and never deal with that issue, then you'd be circulated as wanted for that, won't you, for making off without payment?
That's not a police issue at the minute.
It is. It is a police issue because you've not paid for fuel. So there's still an offence there of that you've not paid for your fuel.
But I have paid. I've gave them...
But you've gave them this coin, yeah, which ultimately they've spoke to the post office and they've decided that it's not a reasonable amount of payment for your fuel. So at the minute we're sort of hands are tied, yeah, agree with you on a certain instance of that, but we still need a solution today whether we take your details and we deal with it at a later date.
She even admits, in her own words, that this is a civil dispute, yet still tries to invent a legal power to demand ID so we can resolve it later. That's not how policing works. If there's no suspected crime, there's no power to compel someone's details. She attempts to turn a private payment disagreement into a police-enforced ID check simply because the cashier is unhappy. When she threatens that he could be circulated as wanted, it's pure bluff. Wanted markers are for criminal suspects, not for civil payment arguments. Using that kind of threat to force compliance is a misuse of authority and a clear sign she had no lawful grounds from the start. If she truly thought a crime might be involved, she needed to check the actual legal elements: dishonesty, leaving the premises, and intent to avoid payment. But the auditor stayed, attempted to pay, and disputed only the method of payment. This is classic civil territory.
So basically, he's trying to pay with this. They've run the post office and said that it doesn't really exist, you can't pay with that. He obviously won't give us our details. I've explained to him to a degree it's a civil matter. However, if he does make off and he doesn't give us our details, we're struggling for any sort of civil issue at a later date. Any details and making off without payment, yeah. So I've explained if he does give us his details and we know where he is and we can contact him at a later date, hopefully this issue can get resolved. Now, he's obviously not really can't want him to do that at the minute.
Because it's a civil issue and it's nothing for the police to get involved in.
But you're still going to make off, aren't you? technically without payment, but if we can get your details,
But I have paid.
but you haven't.
And it is their policy to accept the £20 coin.
Have you?
How's it
Has he
their policy?
paid?
No, he hasn't.
Right. If you haven't paid, and if you walk out this door now,
They've
then
still
you're
got,
li-
they've still got the money though.
Just let, just let me finish. If you walk out that door now, you are liable for an arrest because we don't have your details.
But you don't need them,
Well, I do
because it's a civil issue.
but it's not, because a make off without payment is then a police matter.
The second officer enters and immediately escalates the situation further, threatening arrest. That's ridiculous. The auditor was still inside the shop, making no attempt to leave, and clearly trying to resolve the payment issue. There was no making off without payment because he hadn't walked away, and there was zero evidence of intent to avoid paying. Her threat becomes even weaker when you remember he already tried to pay with a £20 Royal Mint coin, which the cashier refused. That alone destroys any suggestion he was trying to dodge payment. Under the Theft Act, two things must be present: the person must leave the premises, and they must intend to avoid payment. Neither applied here. By forcing this civil matter into a criminal one simply because she couldn't get his details, the officer showed a stunning lack of legal understanding.
So if you walk out that
No,
door
it's
now,
not.
it is. If you walk out that door now, you'll be getting arrested for make off without payment.
But there is an agreement with BP that
Is there
the
any other
coin can be
way? Is
used.
there any other way that you can pay? Because we're going to sit here for hours arguing. I've been quite respectful to you. I appreciate you have to a degree, and I appreciate that from yourself. You haven't been argumentative with me, and I appreciate that you've been a normal human being.
No,
However, we need
I don't
a
intend to.
solution.
No.
No, I know you
If
appreciate
you
that.
can pay for the fuel now by other means, then that's fair enough. It'll be the end of the matter.
Or if you can give us your details, and we can deal with it at a slow time, we can offer you that. But if you're not willing to do either any, then we're struggling with what we have left to do.
Because we can't let you walk out that door without paying. But
We don't know where you live. You might not even be from around here. I'm not saying you are, but you know what I mean. We have people where they'll make off and then they won't give us our details, and then we're going to struggle. I'm still going to have that £20 of fuel, unfortunately, with this BP garage outstanding.
which car is it?
But I have paid for the fuel.
But you haven't paid for the
haven't
fuel.
paid for
Which
fuel.
one?
Right, we're going round in circles, aren't we?
We are, unfortunately, yeah. We've agreed, we've reasoned with you now, and we've tried to say that if you give us your details, just tell you where they live, we'll deal with it slow time. However, you then leave, you don't have your details, you don't know where you live, you could live in London for all we know, and then there's still this making off without payment because they will not accept this as payment.
But I don't have to identify for a civil issue.
It technically isn't a civil issue though, is it, when you leave and you don't pay? You haven't paid for your fuel. We've got the payment here, which isn't acceptable, so really you haven't paid at the minute.
The entire confrontation is built on a false assumption. The officers keep warning him if you leave, as if he's about to run off without paying. But he never tried to leave. He stayed in the store, continued engaging, and had even already offered payment. They weren't reacting to what he actually did, they were reacting to a scenario they imagined. That's not policing, that's fiction, and the idea that they needed his ID is just as weak. His number plate was parked right outside, giving them a perfectly lawful way to confirm his details if they genuinely believed it was necessary. Instead, they ignored that option and doubled down on demands they had no lawful authority to make, turning a simple civil matter into grounds for arrest.
Well, I have, because I've handed the coin over. So I haven't got that in my possession, and I've contacted BP head office before coming here.
Right, and was that today then, or?
No,
So when was that then? So you've contacted BP head office before you've come in?
correct.
Right, so did you contact them today, or was it yesterday, or last week, or?
It's not up to me to say that.
How's it money?
Do you understand what the £20 coin is?
No, that's why I'm confused.
Well, why are you threatening me for arrest then, if you don't know?
Because it's not money.
It is.
Right. We'll agree to disagree. At the end of
You
the
don't know that. It is. It's
Right.
legal tender, the same as a £20 note and a £10 note.
Right, and who did you speak to from the the BP garage, the manager?
It's a Royal Mint who issued that £20 coin.
Right. Okay.
So it's the same money as any other money.
If you get someone on the phone to me who you've spoken to earlier, then we can kind of end the matter here, can't we?
Well, if it's a
But
civil
you're not
issue, I
willing-
don't need
but
to
at the minute
assist
we
you.
don't- But at the minute we don't know it's a civil matter.
But I don't need to assist you in a civil issue.
But you do, because it then turns into a police matter because we don't know that coin.
The auditor had already done more than necessary by pointing out that BP themselves states the coin is valid legal tender. That alone should have ended the dispute. Instead, the officer twists the situation into a demand that he call BP directly, otherwise it becomes a police matter. That's absurd. He has no legal obligation to help her in that way, and refusing doesn't magically create a criminal offence. The police are supposed to assess facts and apply the law, not shift the burden onto a citizen to prove himself. Her comment, "We don't know that coin," only makes her position worse. A Royal Mint £20 coin is legal tender. If the officers don't recognise it, that's their issue, not the auditors.
But if it's
You're
a civil
running the risk
agreement,
of being arrested because you haven't given us his details, and you're going to walk out that door, and it's technically a failure to pay.
but then it'll be a
Make off
civil.
without payment.
But then I'll sue you.
Well, that's
So,
fine. If you want to sue us, that's fine.
unlawful
But
arrest.
like I said, we've been honest with you in terms of which way we can go. The staff here have been very honest, okay? And all I'm saying
But he
is, if you
hasn't.
get the person on the phone who you spoke to earlier with the agreement, then that could be the end of the matter. But as far as I do, then technically, if you walk out the door, it's going to be make off without payment.
He's already accepted to take it.
You haven't accepted to take it. No, haven't accepted to take it. You walk out that door, becomes a criminal matter, and you get arrested for make off without payment.
Or you give us your details.
You're refusing to give us your details, and we don't know that that vehicle is yours because you're not.
But I've told you
Is it urgent?
that he said he would take the coin
But he isn't now, is
if
he?
I take my mask off.
Right, well I wasn't here for that, so we have no witnesses, unfortunately, other than you and him. Right now I can't view that.
Body camera.
But right now I can't view that. At the end of the day, you've come in, you've paid for you've got your fuel, you've come in. This isn't a payable matter. Once you leave, we've offered you to give us your details and deal with it that way. For all I know, that vehicle could be registered to somebody else and lived in London. And how are we ever going to trace you?
But I don't need to assist you.
Once you leave this situation, it is making off without payment. I can't be any more reasonable with you and give you some sort of options that we can go.
But I don't need to assist you.
Are you offering to give
Because
the
you're
staff,
wrong.
not myself, not my colleague, the staff your name and contact number?
No.
Right, so we have one option but two will lock you up then.
Well, I've got a civil agreement in the background.
You can
So-
prove that at court.
I've got
Prove that at court.
That's
then.
fine. You can prove that at court.
Right, well this moment in time, you're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't
I
have to
haven't-
say anything.
but I haven't made off.
We don't mention one question to the later line. Or anything you do is to make a given evidence.
But I haven't made off though.
For your arrest is recorded in fact investigation. Okay?
But I haven't made off.
That you're under caution stop.
And you, the fact that you failed to provide details.
But I haven't made off.
Failed to provide details, yeah.
But I haven't made off.
Right, are we going to go calmly? Are we going to go quietly?
We would go calmly all the time.
Okay, well, do you want to walk with us then?
Of course.
Thank you. Come with me, sir, please. Have you got anything in your pockets that's going to harm me or you? Just take them out. It's just a question we ask everybody.
Can we just take your camera off as well, please?
This is where the situation crosses from incompetence into outright abuse. The officers arrest the auditor for making off without payment while he is literally standing in the store, telling them I haven't made off. That one statement alone should have ended the encounter. The Theft Act requires a person actually leaving without paying and an intent to permanently avoid payment. Neither existed here. The auditor had already offered valid payment and was still actively disputing the charge. The offence they claimed did not exist, and they knew it. Now, Auditor I Spy provides an update on his claim.
About 10 months ago, I walked out of those gates after being falsely arrested for using the £20 coin. The Chief Constable has paid out £4,000 in compensation, but unfortunately he did not apologise at any point, even taking him to court. He went all the way to court, we had the hearing date, and then the Chief Constable saw some sense and paid £4,000 in compensation, but no apology.
The case went to court, and the auditor walked away with a £3,999 payout plus legal costs. That's not pocket change, that's a serious amount of money for something that should never have happened in the first place. It shows just how weak the police's position became once their actions were examined under legal scrutiny. They knew they couldn't defend what they did, so settling was their only option. But what makes it even more damning is that, according to the auditor, the Chief Constable, the head of the entire force, never offered an apology. They handed over thousands of pounds in taxpayer money, effectively admitting fault with their wallet, yet couldn't muster the basic professionalism to acknowledge the mistake. That silence says everything. It reflects a culture where maintaining appearances is more important than accountability, and where public trust is treated as an afterthought. This case perfectly illustrates how a minor issue can spiral into full-blown misconduct when officers don't understand the laws they're supposed to enforce. A simple civil dispute over a coin, something that never should have involved the police, turned into a wrongful arrest because ego and authority replaced common sense. That kind of escalation isn't policing, it's bullying in uniform. What makes it even worse is how the officers invented excuses on the spot. They kept saying, "What if you walk out without paying?" even though the auditor never once suggested he would. They built their entire justification on a scenario that existed only in their imagination. That's not enforcing the law, that's twisting reality to create grounds that don't exist. This behavior also exposes a deeper cultural problem, the use of intimidation as a shortcut for policing. Instead of resolving the issue calmly with facts and patience, the officers jumped straight to threats, detention, and then arrest. When police rely on fear instead of knowledge, it doesn't just harm the person targeted, it erodes public trust in the entire system. Because if this can happen over a coin, it can happen over anything. And then comes the aftermath.